So with the recent pandemic and all the havoc that caused in people's lives around the world, a lot of people have decided that they would take up some new ventures with suddenly a lot more time on their hands, such as launching a brand new YouTube channel. YouTube has become more and more popular pretty much every single year, and I've had a few viewers recently ask me what all do they need to start their very own guitar YouTube channel. Well, that's what this video is about. Here are the 12 things that I think you are going to want to consider as your first YouTube rig. Number one, you need cameras, right? Kind of hard to do this thing without cameras. And you might also want to consider in having a couple of cameras. The reason being is because a lot of guitar videos require multiple camera angles. Much easier to do with two cameras. So with that in mind, there's a few features that you're probably going to want to consider when looking for your camera to shoot YouTube videos with. Number one, you're going to want something that shoots in 4K. 1080p is still a perfectly acceptable resolution on YouTube, but we're a lot closer to 4K being the industry standard now than we were just a few years ago. You'll notice more and more videos on YouTube that are all being shot in 4K nowadays as opposed to 1080. I also recommend you get a camera with a flip out screen. That is an absolute must for YouTube, and you're going to want something with a microphone input. And I will explain more about that here in just a little bit. And last but not least, you'll also want what's called a cold shoe mount on top of the camera so that you can mount various things, like in this case, a wireless transmitter for a microphone. Now, what are some good cameras to check out? Well, the one that I'm shooting this video on right now and that I use for most of my videos is a model by Panasonic called the FZ300. I also use its big brother. This is a model called the FZ1000. These are bridge cameras. These have fixed lenses. So, you can't change out lenses on these, but they both have really, really long zoom focal points on them. So, that one in particular. And as you can see, they also have the flip out screen. They both shoot in 4K. Not full frame. It does crop in a little bit, but that's okay. It's simple enough to work with for my purposes. And of course, a cold shoe mount to mount, in this case, a shotgun microphone. A couple of other cameras that are currently on the market that I recommend you check out are the Canon M50 Mark II, as well as the Sony ZV-E10. If either of those are still a little out of reach, or you just don't really want to spend money investing in a camera, you got one more option most likely. This guy right here. This is an iPhone 13, and really, iPhone 12s or later all have excellent cameras that actually do shoot 4K video. I have begun shooting a lot more videos on my channel using the camera on my iPhone. There's also all kinds of very affordable iPhone camera accessories that you can get on Amazon. And you can spend a little bit more money and get some really nice stuff, such as the DJI OM5 gimbal that I use. Number two, camera tripod. This is kind of a fairly obvious one, but I think one that a lot of people might forget about. And here's the thing with a tripod: especially if you're searching on Amazon or a lot of any place that sells camera equipment, you're going to find a lot of them that are just labeled as lightweight camera tripods that are usually going to be around $30 or less. Stay away from those. Trust me, you're just going to be buying a new one in a few months anyway, especially if you're mounting a big heavy camera like one of these bridge cameras that I use, or a DSLR or something like that on top of it. You've got a pretty sizable investment mounted on the top of it. You need something sturdy, and those lightweight camera tripods are not it. I personally use this Zome tripod. I've been using it for several years now. It's never failed me. It is plenty sturdy and is more than big enough to do everything I need to do with it. As a secondary tripod, this is just kind of an off-brand that I found here recently, but still seems to do the job, and equally as sturdy. It's a little bit smaller. It won't extend quite as high as my Zome, but really I don't need it to. Especially most of my videos are filmed with me sitting down. Doesn't really, most cameras don't need to go much more than about 4 feet anyway. This one here cost right around $40, I believe, on Amazon. I'll make sure and link to both of these tripods down in the description for you. Number three, lighting. Why is lighting important? That's why. And note, this is still with a with a smaller light still turned on over here. You got to have good lighting. If you're watching this video, I'm willing to bet that this is probably not the only video that you're going to watch on what you need to get started on YouTube. If you haven't heard it yet, allow me to be the first to tell you. Lighting is every bit as important as the camera itself, if not more so. If your audience can't see you properly, it makes them want to turn away and go watch something else. Plain and simple. The softbox that I'm using is a brand called Mount Dog, which is a brand that can be found on Amazon. Again, around 50, 60, 80 bucks or something like that. I think I paid for this one, that's got an LED bulb in it and, can operate remote control, change the temperature and all kinds of stuff with it. And as softboxes go, it is a little bit more compact in size itself. There's battery-powered LEDs that can be mounted on top of a camera. I'll link a couple of those down in the description. There's all kinds of stuff, and you don't need to spend a lot of money on lighting to get good, decent quality lighting. Nobody's going to mistake any of my videos for a Hollywood blockbuster, but nobody ever complains about not being able to see me either. Number 4, dialogue microphone. There's a number of ways that you can go about accomplishing this. So far, I have found the simplest way for me to record dialogue is to do it the way that I'm doing it right now. I'm using a Rode Wireless Go 2. I have a small little transmitter. The transmitter itself can also serve as the microphone. I decided to spend the extra money on the actual lavalier microphone, so the transmitter just clips to my belt, or in this case, just goes right in my pocket. I have the receiver that's the exact same size that's mounted to the cold shoe mount on the top of my camera, and the 1/8" cable plugged right into the microphone input on my camera. That's why the microphone input is important. I found that this way works best for me and my purposes because then I can focus all of my recording in the DAW on strictly guitar stuff, and also it saves me the step of having to sync up the dialogue audio with the dialogue portion of my video while I'm editing. This particular setup starts at about $199. You can get a secondary wireless microphone for another $100. It's a really, really good system. It's got great reviews. I encourage you to check it out. If you don't want to go that route, there's lots of other things that you can do, especially if you're recording into a DAW. You can use broadcast microphones like I have done quite a bit here in the past. You can use a shotgun microphone mounted on top of the camera or somewhere else if you prefer, or several other solutions for recording dialogue. But recorded dialogue is important. You do not want to use the built-in microphone on the camera itself because it picks up way too many room reflections and it sounds terrible. That microphone is good for recording audio to go along with your video file so that you can use it to sync it up with another recorded source of audio. That's all it's good for. Number 5, you gotta have a recording interface, right? If you're starting a guitar channel, you gotta have something to record your guitars with and any other instruments that you might need to record. For most of my videos, I use a Focusrite Scarlett Series 18i20. Mine is the Generation 2, which has since been discontinued and now replaced with the Generation 3, but roughly about the same thing. Prior to that, I was using the Scarlett 2i2 out of the same series. And if you want something small and simple and affordable to get going, this is probably what I would recommend. It's got 2 combo jack inputs, so you can plug either a 1/4 inch or microphone cable into it. And that's really about all that you're going to need. It's also USB powered, so you don't need to worry about another external power supply. Just plug it straight into the back of the USB port on your computer. The drivers will automatically load onto your computer, and you are pretty much up and running. That's what I love about the Focusrite Scarlett series. They just work. No headaches of trying to track down why isn't this input working, why is what's going on, why isn't this not working. The Scarlett series don't seem to do that. You plug them in, and you are ready to record. Why am I recommending getting started with something like this rather than a higher end interface? The truth is, if you're using a higher end interface, you're not watching this video. You already know plenty about recording. Higher end interfaces are typically for more experienced studio engineers. But if you're just a regular guy with that records at home like me, I'm not a studio guy. I'm able to record what I need to record very, very easily with what I use for the purposes that I need to use it for. So, hence something like this. As far as sound quality goes, pretty much all of the interfaces, in this particular price range, and similar, are going to be about the same. If you want to check out a couple of others, I recommend checking out the Universal Audio Volt series, as well as the SSL Plus series from Solid State Logic. Both of those are, again, right around the same price range and are really, really popular in the market right now. But again, just to reiterate, the Focusrite 2i2 is the best-selling interface on the market. Number 5, instrument microphones. If you're going to be recording guitar, you're probably going to need to mic up a guitar cabinet or a combo amp or a guitar speaker or acoustic guitar of some kind, somewhere, someplace, somehow. I recommend definitely start out with the Shure SM57 because as instrument microphones go, if there's an industry standard for instrument microphones, that's it. Everybody has at least one or more, and it's got a ton of different uses, and it also blends really, really well with other microphones. I also prefer to use the Sennheiser E906, which is a little bit more money, but again, that's my favorite guitar microphone. And if you want to add a condenser microphone to the mix, check out the Audio-Technica AT2020. I've had really, really good luck with that one as well. All of these microphones are $100, $200. Number 7. You need a computer, right? I figured I was originally going to leave this one off the list, but I figured I better include it just to be safe. No, you don't need a $3,000, iMac loaded with Logic and all that stuff that you're going to find in all these super duper high end pro studios around the world. Yes, Apple products are considered to be ideal for studio recording, but that doesn't mean they're the only game in town. I have 2 studio recording setups, and both of them are PCs. This particular one is actually a refurbished Dell that I found on Amazon, in Amazon's refurbished section for about $400, I think I paid for it. It's got an Intel Core i7 processor. It came with I think 500 gigabytes of hard disk space or something like that. And I think 32 gigs of RAM. Had plenty of speed and everything that I needed, to put together an efficient machine for recording. The other one that I used back there in the other room is one that I built myself, or rather had a buddy of mine built it for me. But I bought all the components separately and and put it together. That one was a little bit pricier. I spent about $1,500 on it, but it's so far it's been worth it, and again, no issues whatsoever. Number 8, recording software. You may have heard the term DAW around the industry at some point, and if you didn't know what a DAW is a DAW, which stands for Digital Audio Workstation. This is basically your main recording software. And there's lots of different ones of these to choose from as well. I personally use Studio One, Persona Studio One. I've been using version 4 for quite some time. I'm getting ready to upgrade to version 6. I used Pro Tools for a while. I did like that one quite a bit, but Pro Tools is a little bit pricier. There is a free version out there called Reaper. Just Google Reaper, and that'll take you right to the website. It's a free download, and you have the option to pay the $60 to make the stupid advertising thing flash. Stop flashing every time you log into it. But Reaper is a full-size professional level DAW, again, that you can download for free. Plugins and everything. You see it used in professional studios all over the world. Number 9, memory cards. You want to have plenty of memory cards laying around, and the reason why is because especially if you're shooting in 4K, they tend to fill up pretty quickly. I personally use the Samsung Evo series memory cards. Most of the ones that I use are the 128 to 256 gigabyte capacity now. Again, trust me, if you're shooting in high resolution using multiple cameras, you're going to want to make sure that your cameras have plenty of memory and don't die on you in the middle of a shoot. Trust me, that sucks. I'll make sure and post a link to the Samsung Evo Select series down in the description. There are some certain specs, and these particular memory cards do hit them all. So there are some particular specs that you're going to want to make sure that you have for shooting 4K video. And also with memory cards, makes it a lot easier to transfer memory from the camera to the computer for the next thing on this list. Number 10, your video editing software. You got to have a way to cut all these clips together and, you know, and add the captions and all that kind of stuff, and that's what the video editing software is for. I personally use Vegas Pro. You know, I'm currently using version 18. I think version 20 just came out. Not that much difference between, you know, between the two versions. So I mean, I'll wait for a few more before I upgrade again. But I personally use Vegas Pro. You know, Vegas Pro, you know, the full-size version runs anywhere between about $300 and $600. There is a smaller version of it. Basically the same thing, just doesn't come with quite as many plugins. Called Movie Studio. You know, and you can find that one for, you know, 100, 150 bucks, give or take, depending on where you go. So it's much, much more affordable. And if you're brand new to video editing, have no idea how it works, how to do any of it, you might have a very, very, very basic one on your computer, especially if you're using a PC, called Windows Movie Maker. Trust me, it's bare bones, but if you're brand new and green like I was when I started, you need to learn the basics, and that's a really, really good place to start. Number 11, external hard drive. Again, these video files start to take up a lot of space, and you know the internal hard drive on your computer, unless you got a ton of hard drive space, you're probably going to run out sooner than you think. The raw files from my camera, once the video is edited and uploaded to YouTube, I usually get rid of those. I don't need them anymore. I've never needed them again after that. However, the file that is produced after I'm done editing, the version that actually gets uploaded to YouTube, I still have every one of those, and I have had to go back and use those for a few things more than once. You know, nowadays, shooting video just takes up a lot of memory, and you need to make sure and have plenty of storage space. You know, I know other YouTube creators, you know, even in the guitar genre, that are buying 50 terabyte storage units and wondering if that's going to be enough. No, I don't think you need 50 terabytes to start out, but I would definitely get something probably between 2 and 4 terabytes. That'll make sure you have plenty of space for quite a while. Number 12. Video capture card. This is something that you're going to need if you also want to do streaming videos on your channel. When I'm doing, I actually bought a specific camera and everything for mine. I'm using, my streaming camera is a Canon M200. That's a whole other video for another day. But streaming on YouTube is becoming very, very popular. Actually, not even just on YouTube, but particularly in our genre. So you might want to consider getting a way to stream your video footage, and if you do that, a capture card is the easiest way to go. The Elgato Camlink 4K is probably the easiest and simplest one to use. I think it's currently runs about 150 bucks or so. Very easy. It's to plug it into the USB on your computer, and you plug an HDMI cable from your camera into the back of the Elgato 4K Camlink 4K. I personally use one from a brand called Cloner Alliance called the Chert 4KC. Same kind of design, and really the only reason why I went with that one over the Elgato is because I bought mine in 2020 when everybody was sitting at home, and this one was available. The Chert 4KC was available sooner than the Camlink 4K. And also, if you're shooting with a Sony or a Canon camera, both of those companies now are putting out proprietary streaming software that you can use with their cameras, that are basically all you need is a USB cable from the camera to the computer. Very easy to use. Resolution is not quite as good as it might be if you're using a capture card, but it'll still get the job done. Well, there you have it. There's 12 things I think that you are going to want to consider when starting up your very own guitar YouTube channel. Please leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you think there's something I may have left out, or if there's anything that you think maybe I shouldn't have included, or whatever. I don't know. Comment. Just leave a comment. Tell me what's on your mind. I'm here to listen. Because that's what we do around here. We listen.